Welcome to the Tea Time with Becky podcast, where we spill the tea on how to live a high vibe lifestyle, how to raise your energetic frequency on the daily, and where we share our experiences on energetic awakening, because we're all just really figuring it out as we go, so why not learn from each other through this connective outlet? If you're ready to start your week vibing high, let's dive in. Hello and welcome back to the Tea Time with Becky podcast. For those of you who are new here, I am your host, Becky. I am a Reiki master, a sway and emotion code healer, and I help women liberate themselves from their past, from past cycles or trauma or generational patterning. I help them find joy and be fully grounded and present in their current reality, and I help them manifest the reality and the dreams that they know they're worthy of living. I'm also an author and clearly a podcast host, and I am so full of gratitude that you are here joining me today. So grab whatever you are sipping on, whether it's tea or coffee, water, or a cocktail, because today we are diving deep into boundaries. Yes, we have talked about boundaries on the show before, but we are circling back and diving a little bit deeper. So first, what are they? Boundaries are essentially invisible lines that determine our comfort level or what we tolerate and accept and what we don't. So boundaries have been coming up a lot lately in sessions that I've been doing with my clients and even for myself. And I find that one of the most challenging things that's been coming up with boundaries lately is not knowing where those invisible lines are or the discomfort that comes in standing up for ourselves to hold that boundary. So we're going to dive into how first to find where those lines are through an analogy that's been on my mind for a bit. And then we're going to dive into healthy ways and verbiage to stand up for ourselves in those boundaries. So I personally had a crummy experience recently, and I was chatting about it with a friend, and this analogy came solely from her sending me a poop emoji. Yes, that is how this analogy and entire podcast episode have came to be, a poop emoji. So imagine, hang with me. You're in your home, and someone shows up at your door with a bag of poop. They hand it to you and say, here you go, here's your bag of poop. You're obviously going to say, no thank you, and close the door. Because obviously you know that you do not want a bag of poop in your house. But this bag of poop represents something you're sure crosses a boundary. It could represent someone saying something hurtful, doing something physically hurtful. Anything that you know is a sure boundary cross of that invisible line. So now where things seem to get a little bit tricky for many of us is when someone hands you a bag of poop that's wrapped in something else, some sort of a facade. So a bag of poop that's wrapped in no offense but, or wrapped in fear of missing out, or a bag of poop that's wrapped in love and light or good vibes only. You know that you're still being handed a bag of poop, but you're confused by the wrapping. So instead of declining it, you welcome it into your home and you let it fester. Anyone, any single person can take a bag of poop or something crummy and wrap it in a fancy mask or coating or facade if they want to. But at the end of the day, you still feel in your gut or in your heart what is a bag of poop and what isn't. And you need to be able to differentiate so that you can say thanks but no thanks. So examples of this could be the get-togethers you always get invited to that you know are going to drain your energy and leave you feeling bitter and annoyed with yourself for going in the first place. Or the family member that always has a way of turning your words around or taking whatever mood you're in and turning it into you not being whatever their expectation is of you or taking you down that woe is me monologue. This could be your boss asking you to do more than you can handle because they know that you won't say no because you never say no. This could be the friend that pretends they've got it all together and they've always got your best intentions in mind, but they're actually in a state of denial and constantly trying to pull you down and drag you down with them. This could be your partner, the one that you're with, that disrespects you in front of others, either in your own home or at get-togethers, but then laughs it off and pretends it's just a joke, but you know in your heart that it isn't. Whatever these bags of poop are for you that you're currently accepting into your house, into your energy, take an actual moment to think about them. If you can, pause this episode. If you're not driving, if you're driving, maybe even just pause it and take a mental note. But if you can, get out a journal or a piece of paper and write down all of those things, all of those poop bags that are wrapped in whatever facade they're wrapped in. Write them all out, because this entire list are the boundaries that you're currently actively letting people cross. So write them all down. When you're ready, come back here and take a look at them. Don't beat yourself up or allow yourself to get overwhelmed at this. Just take a moment. Don't throw your paper and say, F this, it's too much, why did I even bother? Just take a deep breath. Take a nice deep inhale in through your nose and a big loud exhale through your mouth. Shake it off for a second. And congratulate yourself on the self-awareness that you just allowed yourself to experience. Writing those down or taking a mental note, that was a big step for you in seeing the boundaries that you're allowing people to cross and actually letting yourself take them in. So what we're actually going to do is we're just going to choose one of those from that list. You're just going to choose one single poop bag that you are no longer going to welcome into your house. This is the first boundary that you are going to start with, that you're going to say no. Thank you. When that person tries to hand you that bag again, you're simply going to say, no, thank you. But in a real life sense, and once again, if you have a piece of paper and you want to jot things down here, if you're someone who needs help with verbiage, feel free to just, if something resonates for you, jot it down so that you have this tool that you can remember, even if you want to read it over a couple times, because you know that boundary is going to be crossed, so that you have it as support. So this could look like, thanks for the invitation, but I don't have the energy to commit right now. Or, thanks for the invite, but I need some time to process to see if I have the energy to attend. This is in the case of an invitation or a gathering you know crosses the boundary, or you know will involve people who cross that boundary. Or in the case of a verbal boundary crossing, I currently don't have the space or capacity or energy. You decide what verbiage resonates with you there. So I currently don't have the space to respond to the things you just said. I'm going to allow myself some time to process, and if I have a response, I'll get back to you. Because this gives you the time and space to walk away, to sleep on it, before you just respond without being able to get your center, become grounded, or the time to maybe not even respond at all. It gives you time to calm down so you're not having an urgency response or a fear response. And if in that moment this boundary gets challenged, remember that this actually makes it easier for you to differentiate between a bag of poop and a bag of poop wrapped in something else. But when the boundary gets challenged, all you have to do is repeat, as I said, I'll get back to you if I have a response after I've had time to process. Another example, if someone close to you is trying to pull you into a conversation or doing something that crosses a boundary, you can simply say, I can see how that's something that you're into or is a conversation that may be beneficial for you to have right now. However, I'm going to pass on it right now. It just isn't something I feel is good for me right now. If this gets challenged, you can simply say, it actually just isn't sitting right for me right now, but you do what feels good for you. Because this is just you gently showing where your boundary is so that you're not inviting that type of conversation in the future. There are so many little ways that you can say no thank you when people try to cross your boundaries. But I also want you to remember that when you're setting boundaries and it's a new thing for you, and if those you're setting the boundaries with aren't used to you saying no, it may take time or patience or more understanding, or sometimes it may take you fully uncomfortably walking away to hold the boundary. But I just want you to know that this does not mean there's anything wrong with you. It just means you're standing in your power and you're protecting your energy, because you are worthy of being surrounded by people who allow you to stand in your power, who allow you to be your full self, who build you up and support you. And you are always worthy of a life of peace, and you are always worthy of protecting that peace. I just want to read a couple little quotes that I came across recently. The first is, sometimes in order to break generational patterns and end dysfunctional family systems, we have to be willing to love our parents from afar. We can accept them for who they are without allowing them to cross our emotional and spiritual boundaries any further. And that quote can go for any kind of family member or friend, or you insert whatever word feels better for you. The next quote is, the real flex is choosing connection over attachment, boundaries over BS, distance over disrespect, discipline over procrastination, growth over comfort zone, healing over trauma bonding, peace over drama, progress over perfection, and solitude over fake company. Damn. So I really hope that these last little blurbs have given you that little bit of loving motivation and the reminder that when you're setting healthy boundaries, though sometimes it may feel hard or heavy or shitty or lonely, or if you're questioning yourself, know that you are not alone. Seek support from the people who you know care about you, or seek support from someone who you know can support you on your journey. So much love to you in your boundary setting, babe, and I will talk to you on the next one.